Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com. Judd Zolgad, Andrew Kramer, TCF Bank Stadium, where the Vikings have opened the home portion of their season far better, Andrew, than they opened the road portion of their season. A Monday night, they get absolutely drilled in San Francisco. They come home and start against the Detroit Lions here today on Sunday with a 26-16 victory. I think we should start here. It appears the Vikings finally found a way to use this guy. He wears 28, and his name happens to be Adrian Peterson.
Absolutely. Adrian runs off. I think he ended up accounting for something like 191 yards on 31 touches. And this was his homecoming. This was his first home game with the Vikings since 2013. First time he's ever taken the field here at TCF Bank Stadium, and he made it one to remember for the fans here. I think some 52,000 were announced, and Peterson, while he didn't get a touchdown, he ended up being the deciding factor in this game, absolutely, by carrying the ball 30 times, including 8 times on the opening drive. They tried to get him involved right away. Remember that game in San Francisco? He didn't touch the ball until the second drive.
Right. And
obviously he only had 10 touches the entire time. Well, the first 11 rushing attempts were all to Adrian. They fed him the ball right away, and you could tell it made a major impact on the Detroit Lions and what they were trying to do. Even though they knew that the Vikings were going to run it, they couldn't stop it, and it set up the play action passes, it set up the bootlegs, it set up the reverse to Jarius Wright. They were able to get a lot of different facets of this offense going because of Adrian.
I think the important thing, too, is on Monday, because he had 10 carries and 13 touches, that we got to talking about, okay, in that case he was used, I want to say on the carry, 6 times under center. He carried the ball, and 4 times from the shotgun. And he's still, even today, when he's asked to run the ball from the shotgun, he's clearly a guy who likes to get ahead of steam, hit the line, and try and hit the holes from there, Andrew. So he doesn't look entirely comfortable when you give him the ball from a standstill of the shotgun where he sort of tries to dance and stuff. But to me, this whole conversation comes down to a very simple thing. It's just touches. Yeah. If you give him the ball 30 times a game, 25 to 30 times a game, whether it be through passes, from the shotgun, under center, if you give him the ball that much, it doesn't matter because eventually he's going to break some. So I really think what happened Monday is they limited him so much that we were only left to focus on the fact that, hey, 4 carries for 7 yards from shotgun was really ineffective.
Absolutely, and I think he wasn't as effective out of the shotgun today as he was under center. You've got the raw numbers, but I believe he went over 100 yards just on the runs under center.
118 or so, I think.
Yeah, but your point is exactly right in that this is a guy who just needed to get his feet wet. Adrian Peterson talked about that after the game. He said, look, I was getting a little sore and everything, but he's glad to feel that way because he feels like he's settling in now into that NFL recovery and the beating that he's used to taking. And you could tell, too, in that first game, he didn't break a single tackle against the San Francisco 49ers. And I think
that's a great stat, yeah, which I didn't realize.
And that's a product, too, of just not being tackled in practice, not playing in the preseason, not being tackled in over a year. And now you see him come out today, starts getting his feet wet, starts getting comfortable, starts breaking tackles, and that's the Adrian Peterson everybody's used to seeing.
It's one game, and Monday was one game as well. So it's hard to get incredibly worked up about these. But I would say what we saw today was important from this. Crisis management by Mike Zimmer in this sense. The Vikings went, 6-10 last year. Yeah. It was considered an accomplishment. They lost Peterson, they had all types of problems, and so we didn't see that many really tough losses or tough games. That game on Monday was a disaster. And I think the important thing was, and players in the locker room brought this up in the postgame too, Zimmer was livid at them on Tuesday, but he didn't deal with them on Tuesday. They came back in on Wednesday and he said, okay, boys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch some of the cut-ups of things that you screwed up because we have to correct some things. And other than that, I'm turning off this film and we're going to burn it. And so I really do think that the key thing that he did was saying, starting on Wednesday, that it's a short week. He told that team at halftime of the San Francisco game, I don't recognize you. I think what he realized is it would do him no good to have guys who he didn't recognize watch themselves on film. And so instead of harping on it and trying to correct every single thing that went wrong, because there were so many things that went wrong, I think what he basically said is, let's just forget it.
Yes,
smart move.
Absolutely, and I agree with that there. And you could tell, too, that this defense that came out and played today was absolutely a different unit that came out 6 days ago on Monday night in San Francisco. They limited the Lions to 2.4 yards per carry. Matthew Stafford, the quarterback for the Lions, was the leading rusher at the end with 20 yards for the Detroit Lions. And that's just something where you don't go from 230 yards allowed on the ground to as few as they did today if you're just that's who you are. And I absolutely agree with you there. And Mike Zimmer kind of he alluded to that after the game. So some of the players talked about how, yeah, we thought we were going to get ripped a new one, but we didn't. They decided to push on quickly, and you could tell that it's because Mike Zimmer knew that's not the group that he had here.
Back to Peterson for 1 second. I would say if there's any cause for concern, it's not the missed blocking assignments, because those are never going to go away.
Yeah.
But he fumbled the ball, well, unofficially, because one was wiped out by a Detroit penalty, 3 times today.
Yeah.
Lost 2 of them, and officially fumbled the ball twice and lost 1. You can put up with a guy that can't pass protect. You can put up with a lot of things from a superstar player. The one thing that you can't put up with is lack of protection of the football. And that would be one thing that I would say that if the Vikings are going to harp on this week, it's that, because that is something that can get anybody benched.
Yeah, and Mike Zimmer talked about that after the game. He said that will be a point of emphasis, his ball security and getting him to carry that. And that's been an issue with him his entire career, though. And that's the thing. It's not, you talk about the pass protection and struggling in that area. These are areas that Adrian has struggled with, and he's had to try to improve his entire career. So I think when you see what he's built up throughout his career and fixing those issues, I'm sure some of it got away from him on the time away here and trying to get reacclimated now back into it. But you're right. If you had one thing to harp on with Adrian, he did miss that pass protection assignment that ended up turning into a 49-yard catch and run. So those are the kind of things that he can do with his talent. But you're right. If you put the ball on the ground, it's going to come back to haunt you at some point.
So the Vikings 1-1 now, week 3 against the Chargers next Sunday here at TCF Bank Stadium before they go back on the road. Thanks for coming to 1500ESPN.com. As always, to check out our podcast, Pro Podcast, and also plenty of coverage from this game. He's Andrew Kramer. I'm Judd Zolgad. Talk to you next time.